Obusui Lelotu is the first baseman, and a change behind the plate for Botswana. Moru Lahagni Mualusi will do the catching because they had an incident in yesterday's game.
That's right. Thabiso Ratatubani, their starting catcher, who's caught every inning so far in this tournament. It was a called catcher interference, but a bat swing caught him right on the wrist. So it looks like that injury is carried over, and instead you see a replacement there. And that's a big stick in the lineup that Botswana's going to be missing. Hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Well, that also has to play, and I know everybody's prepared to do their job, but you think the relationship between a catcher and their pitcher is important.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, that has to, you're talking about the quarterback out there. The catcher is the one who controls the play and calls what's going to occur. Now, I'm just looking out there, and I don't see Kahiso Mohali in that circle. That looks like Romeo Shalamatsi that is starting.
Number 13. They're looking at the number there.
I see number 13, and that is Romeo Shalamatsi, and not Kahiso Mohali, as was put on the starting lineup.
So a last-minute change for Botswana then. So we'll make that change, and that's happened a few times this tournament where the lineup cards come in about an hour before game time, and then teams make a last-minute change. Japan did that earlier on in a broadcast that I did. First pitch ball, and the second pitch comes in high. So Herwins Corrales, the leadoff hitter, the center fielder for Venezuela, taking two quick balls here.
So it looks like they had Romeo Shalamatsi as the designated player or the flex player, and have decided that he's going to get the start instead of Mohali. And I would expect that that's to assume if they need someone to come in relief.
As Corrales able to send an opposite field single, and the left fielder Motusi Chalobani bobbles the pickup, and that allows Corrales to scamper to second. So solid single, and the E7 will get the runner to second. That'll bring up Iran Paez, the third baseman.
Well, again, this Venezuela team aggressive on the base pass. If you bobble a ball or if you have an errant throw, they will take advantage of that and take the extra base. They force you to make the play.
Fouled off by Paez. So you got to wonder how long they'll stick with Shalamatsi if things get going for Venezuela offensively.
Well, I would think that you'd have to have a short leash. You've got only one game to play a day. You might as well use your ace when you can. No sense saving anyone.
Swing and a foul off.
So I think it's important that if Shalamatsi gets into any kind of trouble, that they go and go to their bullpen. This Venezuela team can put up runs in a hurry. You wait too long, it could be too late. And unfortunately, if you get caught in that avalanche, we like to call it. Then,
nice change up there.
Then you will unfortunately get buried, and it'll be a run-shortened game.
So getting the strikeout is Shalamatsi for the first out of the inning. Paez going down swinging. Yadar Chirinos coming up to the plate, the shortstop. So big game for Botswana, as we mentioned off the top. They're ending the tournament with Venezuela and will face New Zealand tomorrow. So big test for this squad. Swing and a miss. Strike number one. And you see the cuts that Venezuela's taking, Lance, and they're attacking the ball as hard as they can.
Well, they swing hard. They hit the ball hard. That's the way all these guys approach it. Chirinos, one of the veterans on this squad. He is a leader.
Chop to the first base side, and the first baseman will make the out at first unassisted for the second out of the inning, but Corrales moves to third.
Got to take that as a victory to manage to get Chirinos, the number 3 hitter, to bounce out to the first baseman. You have to consider that to be a victory there.
Rafael Flores, the catcher, batting cleanup here for Venezuela, and he had quite the game against New Zealand yesterday, especially defensively, picking off 2 runners on base.
Well, Rafael comes in batting .500. He's has 7 hits and 14 at bats. He's got tremendous power, and he's got a cannon behind the plate.
0-1 pitch comes in. And I believe that called just outside. So 1-1 is the count.
So while we're here, the Blue Crew, William Lopez, the home plate umpire to Puerto Rico. Lee Evans is at first base from Australia. Toyomatsu Tabanaki.
There's a slam to center field, and that one's going to sail over the fence, and Venezuela takes a 2-0 lead on the emphatic home run by Flores as he gave the ball an extra push with the vocal exuberation, and Venezuela on top early.
Well, he usually has that grunt, but like I said, tremendous power in Flores. He doesn't just do it defensively. He bats in that 4 spot for a reason, and you saw it right there. That was a no-doubter to the power alley in right center. Tremendous, tremendous power.
That'll bring up left fielder Carlos Carreno here, batting in the 5th spot.
And Carreno comes in one of the leaders, second leading hitter on the team with a .583 batting average, so he's been getting the job done as well.
That ball comes inside. Good start to the morning. Some sun and cloud. About 10 degrees Celsius here at the Pepsi Center. As that pitch misses inside. Better start than the last couple of days. Some cloud and some rain, but dry right now. 2-0 pitch comes in, swing and a miss.
Good spot there from Shalamatsi. He kept it down with the drop ball in the inner part of the plate to Carreno. Tough to handle that pitch no matter who you are.
And that slam to the second baseman picked up nicely. He has to hurry the throw, and they're able to get him as Obusui Lelotu had to wait for ages for a second baseman to get him that ball, but the out is recorded on 4-3. But Venezuela with 2 runs on 2 hits. There was an error for the Botswana squad, and nobody left on. We go to the bottom of the 1st inning. It's Venezuela 2, Botswana no score. More to come on Sports Canada TV. Into the bottom of the 1st inning, Botswana ready to bat.
And just to finish our Blue Crew at second base, Toyomatsu Tabanuki from Japan. At third base, Vladimir Lis from the Czech Republic. The substitute will be Darryl Helmer from Canada, and Enrique Ramirez from Cuba will be handling the clock.
For Botswana, leading off, the second baseman, Jerry Manaka. The first baseman, Obusui Lelotu, is batting second. Moru Lahagni Bualusi, the catcher, will bat third. Eric Simwanza batting fourth. Brian DeCoker batting fifth. Romeo Shalamatsi is the designated, actually he's the pitcher that started. Omolemo Shalamasi is batting seventh. Motusi Chalobani, the left fielder, batting eighth. And Cabo Matau, the third baseman, is batting ninth. And Kahiso Mohali was scheduled to start as the pitcher, but he's the flex player at this point and on the bench. We'll get to the Venezuelan defense in just a moment. 1-0 is the count. And that will come in for a strike. We talked a lot about the Venezuelan offense. What about their defense, Lance?
Well, if you look up the middle, probably one of the strongest defenses here in the middle infield in Chirinos and Lima. Very experienced. They've got great range, great hands. I like to refer to them as having pillow hands because they're so soft, good arms out there. Everyone in this team can play good, solid defense, and that's one of the reasons they're sporting a 4-1 record.
So around the field, starting in left, it's Carlos Carreño. It's Hermwims Corrales in center, Edwin Linares in right, Iran Paez at third, Yader Chirinos at short, Jorge Lima at second, John Zambrano at first. The leader of this squad, I think emotionally, Rafael Flores in behind the plate, very, very vocal. And Eder Pineda is the starting pitcher here, and he's a 3-2 count on the leadoff batter.
Well, Flores is the leader of this team.
And a walk issued.
Looks like an illegal pitch was called as the first base umpire, Lee Evans, is reminding Pineda to make sure he keeps contact with the rubber when he releases the ball.
So that'll bring up Lakotu, flashing a bunt, pulls it back, puts it back in, and another illegal pitch called against Venezuela. And the umpires haven't been afraid to call the illegal pitch this tournament.
No, and I think the rule's the rule. And the issue with the illegal pitch rule is that it differs from league to league and, of course, association to association. In some places, you're allowed to pro hop. Others, you're not. Some places allow you to lose contact with that. It's a rule that when you come to these international events, they are very stringent about. They make sure that you have to have contact with the rubber when you release the ball. So sometimes guys get into bad habits when they're playing club ball or they're playing in their league and that sort of thing where it's not enforced as much. So here, different story.
And a bunt down the third baseline, a nice one, thrown to first for the out, but the runner moves to third as Lakotu does his job on the sacrifice. And we talked about the pitching aspect of Botswana. They've had some trouble scoring runs.
Well, they're facing some of the best pitchers in the world, and it's a little different competition-wise than they're used to. So expect them to go out there, do their best. But again, Pineda isn't exactly the hardest thrower on this squad. He's got probably the most variety of pitches, but certainly not the hardest thrower.
So now it's Moru Lahagni Mualusi up to the plate, the number 3 hitter. So Venezuela with the runner at third base after 2 illegal pitches and a sacrifice bunt. But Pineda has his man down 1-2 very quickly.
Well, we talked about that, having the bat out in front and trying to pull it back. And the harder the thrower, the harder it is to accomplish anything doing that.
Fouled off to stay alive.
And you saw there a perfect example. Mualusi decided not to go that route and was able to foul that off. Got to understand the concept of bat speed and having stationary planted feet and being able to keep that bat through the strike zone as long as possible. That's what increases your chances of hitting. If you don't do that, you limit your chances.
And a strikeout for Pineda for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Eric Simwanza, the center fielder, in the 4th spot.
Good pitching sequence there from Pineda and Flores. Pulled the string on that last pitch, took a little bit off.
That looked like another changeup. Venezuela playing a straightaway defense, nothing special.
I think the question with Venezuela isn't going to be their bats, it's going to be their pitching and how well that's going to hold up as they move a little closer to the medal round. They do have Eric Urbanea, the veteran. They also have Carlos Ochero, who's got good velocity. So a mix of guys speed-wise.
That's flared over to the first base side, and an easy play for the first baseman, Zambrano. And they leave the Botswana runner stranded at third in Manaka. So no runs, no hits, no errors for Venezuela. There were 2 illegal pitches in the inning, But it is still Venezuela leading 2-0 over Botswana going to the top of the second inning. More to come on Sports Canada TV. Leading off the top of the second inning for Venezuela, Lucier Pinto, the designated player, Jorge Lima, the second baseman, followed by John Zambrano, the first baseman. And that's the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in this Venezuelan lineup.
Pinto comes in with an impressive .563 batting average. He's got 9 hits and 16 at bats, so he has been tearing the cover off the ball.
Second inning of work for Shalamatsi. And we've seen this a lot, Lance. The pitchers really trying to get their circle the way they want it, digging holes and packing down the landing pad in front of them.
Well, every pitcher likes it a certain way. Every pitcher has a different spot where they're going to land. You can see the grounds crew's done a great job on this infield. Looked great this morning. And you can see not really much of a factor here for Shalamatsi.
Nice pitch there from Shalamatsi.
Well, he brought it in on the hands, and you've got to do that to a guy like Pinto. You let him get the arms extended, and you're going to be chasing that ball over the fence.
And that will be added to the collection of balls in the upper part of the screen. 6, I count there now.
Still waiting for you to hop up there and go grab those, Steve.
I have no vertical, Lance. I was never good at height.
How are your climbing skills?
I'm better at crawling than climbing.
Okay, I'm not asking you to jump that high. I know I won't be going up there, so.
And Pinto fights off a good pitch. You know, it's funny, coaching younger players, Lance, sometimes it's hard to tell them to that it's okay to foul off a ball and get to the next pitch. Like, you can't do anything with that one, but you give yourself another life.
No, and nobody hits a home run every time, and that's just the way the game goes. It's like saying you'll never make an error, you'll never strike out. Those things will happen throughout the course of a career. But it's important that you're able to at least keep yourself alive and get another chance. Fouling off a pitch that isn't your pitch or isn't in the zone you like it is a good thing, because that allows the pitcher now to have to throw another pitch and give you another opportunity.
And that's flared over and will get out of play. I like Pinto's shoes. It's the Venezuelan colors in the yellow, blue, and red. And I believe it's South Africa that has the socks. And those shoes might be something that they may want to add to the souvenir list.
Hey, fashion matters out there. Don't kid yourself.
And they wanted that call, but that was a little too high. And didn't swing, held back.
Shalamassi's thrown a lot of pitches here to Pinto. A good at-bat.
And he's just staying alive in there. The type of batter the defenses hate.
Well, right now Pinto's seen every pitch that Shalamatsi has, and it's going to be up to Shalamatsi and Mualusi to somehow figure out the best way to get Pinto out. Right now, whatever he's got, he's going to have to make it a bit of an adjustment. Pinto's all over everything.
Oh, and that one will send Pinto down to first base.
Heck of an at-bat from Pinto. Saw a lot of pitches. Very disciplined up there. Fought off a number of good pitches. And, of course, just outlasted Shalamatsi and worked him for a leadoff walk.
Jorge Lima now up to the plate. It's the second baseman for Venezuela. And the leadoff runner is on. Venezuela's running game. Do they rely more on the bats? Will they send somebody down on a steal?
Well, they're more so not necessarily on the steal, but very aggressive. That means that they will keep an eye out. They will make big turns. They will try to force throws. They will take extra bases if you bobble or if you give them the opportunity. So not so much with blazing speed, but very smart and very aggressive.
And that's crushed. Deep left field. And that's gone. And Lima with a 2-run shot gives Venezuela the 4-0 lead. And if you're Botswana, you got to be chatting of an idea of maybe looking to your ace coming in here, because a 4-0 lead in the second inning is a big gap to fill.
Well, you look at what Shalamatsi's done, and again, I think it was Pinto that wore him down with all those pitches. But when you look at it, you're right. You can't wait. 4-0 now. Again, you go back to that avalanche we spoke about and the fact that these guys can put up runs in a hurry. It's the highest scoring team here in this tournament. These guys have a batting average of almost 500. If you don't have top-notch stuff, it's going to be awfully hard for you to get these guys out. And Shalamatsi's made 2 mistakes, and they both ended up on the other side of the fence. So it looks like they are going to bring their ace in, and it is going to be Kahiso Muhali.
So they'll give him some warm-up pitches here to get all set. And so into the game comes Kahiso Mohali. This pitching change brought to you by Ballpark Broadcasting. And the first batter he'll face will be John Zambrano, the first baseman. Nobody on after Lima's 2-run shot.
We'll see how quickly Mohali can settle in here. This will be his biggest test. And he brings that change up. We didn't usually see that change up very sparingly in his previous games, and he threw that on the second pitch. So know where he's at as far as knowing this Venezuela lineup.
The other question you have is, how much work has the ace had throughout the tournament up until this point?
Well, you know what? When you look at this tournament and the fact that you're playing 1 game a day, yesterday, of course, being a different exception, your ace is used to going 1 day. That's not anything out of the ordinary. That's one of the beauties of this tournament and why you can see the aces get more innings than usual. They don't have to pitch more than 1 game a day, and therefore they can get enough rest to go back to back.
That goes high, trying to get Zambrano to chase, but isn't fooled. They're going to check that. No, third baseman says no swing.
Different perspective up here. Looks like Zambrano may have committed, broke the wrist just a bit, but third base umpire Vladimir Liss disagrees with me up here in the booth, and he's got the final word.
And they'll reestablish that back line. The umpire's keeping a key eye on that situation.
Well, you've got a pitcher with good velocity, so you usually stand back in the box to get that fraction of a second longer look. And Zambrano was probably taking that to the limit. And you see, the first thing the batters do is they'll come up and they'll get rid of the back line of the box. And there's a reason they do that.
Slap to the first base side, gets by Lalotu, and Zambrano will hold up at first base. I think Lalotu was, I don't want to say caught off guard, but the ball didn't come off the bat as fast as he thought it did, and a little bit of a staggered reaction, and it's in there for a single.
Well, you're being nice, Steve. You need to get your butt over to that line, guard it, and get down and block it. That's what you need to do as a first baseman in a game where your team is trailing by 4 runs, and you know how valuable it is to keep guys off. You have to go the extra to make sure that that ball stays in the infield, not reach down backhanded, okay, and try and field that ball. You got to move your feet, get down, block, guard the line like you're supposed to, and knock that down at the very least. So no offense to Lakotu, but you have to put forth more of an effort as an infielder to get those balls.
Edwin Linares up to bat for Venezuela, the right fielder. So Botswana in a hole here in the top of the second. 2 already in on the Lima home run. And Lance, those just weren't home runs from Lima and Flores. Those were rockets off the launching pad.
Well, if it was anyone but Venezuela, the hottest hitting team, you might be a little surprised, but that's what they've been doing since they were able to take the field.
And a strikeout for Muhali for the first out of the inning, and that will bring up Herwims Corrales. Hit a single back in the first inning, and an error on the left fielder allowed him to scamper to second, and then he came around on the Flores home run.
Well, this is the matchup we talked about off the top. The hitting for Venezuela, the pitching for Botswana, that's their ace. This is the top of the shop, so we'll see what gives here. Sometimes through the course of the game, Steve will have to try to get a report on Raditubani and his wrist.
Nice change of speeds there. Yeah, the catcher for Botswana taking a bat to the catching arm yesterday, and that's not pleasant.
Awfully good change up there. Corrales had no chance to even pull the trigger. Looked good, but a little bit upstairs.
What about for the pitcher Muhali, Lance, when you look at where he throws at home? What sort of competition would he face compared to what he's facing now?
Well, that's a good question, but I can't imagine it's even close to what he's seen here. These, of course, some of the best players in the world in the sport. He's certainly proving that he belongs as far as pitching goes and talent goes. Botswana's come an awfully long way. They had 2 3-game series against South Africa to prepare for this event. So I'd have to figure that world-class competition is sort of at a premium, and really where they're going to learn the most is coming to these events and playing against international competition.
Iram Paez up to the plate now. He struck out swinging back in the first inning and is quickly down 0-2 to Mohali.
And so far, you saw how good Mohali has as he sat down Corrales. Corrales, a good leadoff man, and he looked overmatched.
More fans filing into the ballpark. Such a great game. You can walk to the outdoors and settle down. Be relaxed until the 5th inning when everybody's biting their fingernails. A wave of emotion up and down. I'd like to thank the umpires for their hard work throughout this tournament. Not an easy thing to do. Everybody has their own opinion and own call.
Well, sometimes there's a bleacher full of umpires out there competing, so.
And that just on the inside part of the plate. Botswana wanted that one.
Close pitch from Mohali, kept it really down in the strike zone to Paez. Came back with a changeup. Brave, kept it inside though, so good location.
Well, there's a reason why Venezuela has the high batting average as a team. Eagle eyes at the plate. Three and two count on Paez, so the runner's going to be moving off the pitch with 2 away in the inning. Down the first baseline, Denmark filing in, I believe. They don't play till 3 o'clock. If that is Denmark or...
Oh, I would have to venture to say that, no, that looks an awful lot like Denmark to me.
You're early at the ballpark. Runner's going to have to be sent back to first base. It was a foul tip. I don't think Zambrano's going to win that argument. Be nice to stay at second after all that running. That's flared to foul territory, and Lelotu can't get there in time.
Much better effort there to try and get to that pop-up.
Another good at bat. This time for Paez, making Mohali pitch a few more than he'd like to. And that was interesting. Paez was trying to call time. The umpire let the play go, and then it was called a 4th ball.
I don't know. I'm in disagreement with that. I thought that was right down the middle of the plate from this vantage point anyway. Looked like a pretty good pitch. But again, we don't have the final say here. Unfortunately, not making it any easier for Mohali.
And that one gets by the catcher. Runners will advance, and a sign of frustration from the pitcher there as he trying to put a little extra zip on that delivery. Paez now at second, Zambrano at third, 2 out in the inning.
Well, when you get squeezed like that, it makes it difficult for you as a pitcher to be able to establish where in the strike zone you should pitch. If the umpire is shrinking that strike zone, your options become limited as to where you can go and when. And you can see Mohali isn't pleased based on that last call. So I think he's got a reason to, he certainly got a case. It's a judgment call. The umpire said it was not there. He disagreed, so he's going to have to find a way to regroup, get back his composure, and get this final out here and get his team out of this jam and back up to bat.
And I like this defensive timeout. The coach coming out to talk to the squad, trying to settle them down, and sometimes coaches wait a little too long to do that, and more damage is done. But after that at bat, he's right out there talking to his team.
Well, I think you, as a coach, you've got to know your team, you've got to know your players, you have to know their temperament and the way they react to situations. That's part of your job, managing personalities. So lots of encouragement in there, as you can see. They're together and they're back in Mohali. And we'll see here, really, if they can get out of this inning, it'll be a victory for them if they can do it without giving up a run.
They are just 1 out away from getting out of the top of the second inning. Chirinos up now. He grounded out to the first baseman in his first at-bat. Going after a pitch right away, and already the top of the order going through their second at-bats here in the top of the second inning.
Mohali doing a good job. Should keep it up there on Chirinos. Been known to chase the rise ball. And he should get a steady diet.
Good call.
He's gotten 3 now in a row, and maybe a drop waste pitch outside and then come back with the rise might be a good way to go here.
And that one's fired right down the tube. Strike 3 called. Gets Chirinos looking for the third out of the inning, but 2 more runs pushed across the plate. There was 2 runs on 2 hits, a couple of walks mixed in, and Venezuela has a 4-0 lead over Botswana. We go to the bottom of the second inning. More to come on Sports Canada TV. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Leading off the Botswana attack is the shortstop, Brian DeCoker. Scheduled to come up will be Romeo Shalamatsi and Homolemo Shalamasi batting third this inning, the right fielder.
DeCoker has been instrumental in the Botswana attack. Started the tournament in the leadoff spot, has slid down to a more productive RBI role.
What a changeup. And that will send DeCoker to the dugout. Froze him.
Pineda doing a good job of mixing things up. And I'm looking now, and I believe, just wanted to make sure that it was Pineda still in the circle. Him and Ocero have a very similar style, but it definitely is Pineda there. And you could see starting to use the changeup a little bit more now. And that can come to pass because you've got a 4-run lead. So you can take a few more chances, maybe change up your pitching sequence just a wee bit, knowing you've got that cushion. Every pitcher wants every call, every corner, every time.
Would you expect anything else?
No, definitely not. Are you playing hard?
And that one will catch the outside part of the plate. And another strikeout for Pineda. 2 away now. Omolemo Shalamasi now up to the plate.
Well, you can see with the body language from Botswana, obviously what happened out in the field defensively, they're carrying to the plate with them. What you need is a short memory. You need to forget that. You need to go with the fact that you're only down 4 runs. You're still in this game. You've got lots of time to put some runs on the board. You got to just settle in. But you got to be way more aggressive. You can't take a lot of those pitches, and you can't stand there and watch strike 3 go by.
Drop down, Pineda pounces on it very quickly. And a nice play by the pitcher to go 1-3 on the bunt. And that's 3 up, 3 down for Botswana in the bottom of the second inning. So no runs, no hits, nobody left on, and no errors. It's a Venezuela 4, Botswana no score to the top of the third. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. To the top of the third we go. Rafael Flores, the catcher, stepping into the box. Hit a 2-run shot back in the first inning. No doubter here. And now the umpire discussing some things with the catcher for Botswana. And now the coach is going to come out.
Looks like there's been a change behind the plate. It's now Moses Kosimori who is doing the catching for Mohali.
Interesting discussion here. Flores doesn't look happy either.
Well, I've never seen Flores happy, so I'm not quite sure if that's even possible. So as soon as he steps on that field, I guess
the chain?
Well, they're questioning the jewelry, and the rule is you cannot wear jewelry out there, regardless of whether or not it's going to impede anything. You cannot wear jewelry in an international game. That's just the rules. And it's a judgment call by the umpire to decide if he wants to call Flores out for coming to the plate with it. So that's the rules. And if you want to argue the rules, then take it up with the WBSC, okay? Not the umpire that's enforcing the rules. And Flores has been around long enough to know that you cannot wear jewelry at an internationally sanctioned event like this. So he got away with it because it's under his shirt. Obviously, it must have been showing a bit. Catcher said something, so that's why he's a little ticked. Play on.
There's worse things in life. As Flores watches a strike come in.
Well, Flores is looking to take one deep here again, I'll tell you that. He's got that look.
And he skies one to left field, and that will drop in for a single in between the left fielder and the shortstop who is running out. So Flores gets the leadoff hit. And Carlos Carreno coming up. He grounded out to the second baseman back in the first inning.
See if Carreno hits away or if he just steps in there to move the runner along. Certainly didn't square to bunt with that hack.
I think they're looking to push the ball as far as possible.
Well, sometimes your coach will give you one good swing and then he'll put it on. Not the case here.
Not playing the short game.
Not with a 4-run lead. I guess they're looking to add to it, you know, the fun way per se. But he's quickly in the hole 0-2. So we'll see what Mohali does here.
It almost seems Venezuela, after not being able to field the team against Japan in day one of the competition because of travel issues, they've been playing with a chip on their shoulder because they went into a game with Turkey early on and never took their foot off the gas in a 35-0 win. Everybody else kind of shutting things down after 15, 20 runs, and Venezuela just hard all the time.
Well, I mean, I've had this discussion even the day it occurred, and in my opinion, that's just poor sportsmanship. That's just me. I understand you want, in these events, if it comes down to runs for and against, you want to have as many runs as possible. I still believe, though, that once you get to that mercy and you realize that, say, 20, 25, the chances of the team coming back are pretty slim. So maybe take a hit, step off. There are a number of ways you can do it and do it with class so that they're not embarrassed and you don't embarrass them. But different philosophy with Venezuela. They decided that they were going to keep on going, and that's just the way that worked out. So just remember, karma is the way it is, and somewhere down the line, what goes around comes around. And we'll see if that takes place here, or maybe it'll take place another time. But
Lucier Pinto, the batter, took a walk in the second inning off the glove of the pitcher, and he'll shovel it to second base. And Flores really didn't have any of a choice because the line shot was touched by the pitcher. He had to hold the bag. Line drive was dropped, so they go to second for the force. And that was a 1-4-6. The conventional play to get an out.
Yeah, conventional, interesting way of putting it, yeah. But
It's a fielder's choice for Pinto, and that'll bring up Jorge Lima. Home run in his last at-bat, a 2-run shot in the second inning. And going for a second home run of the game there. Yesterday, some big games. Canada defeating Australia 9-4. U.S. crushed the Dominican 12-2, making Section A pretty interesting. Venezuela took care of New Zealand 7-3, and Japan, the run-ahead rule, 14-0 over Great Britain, while Argentina did the same thing to India, 11-0. And in fact, it was 7 innings for Argentina and India, as India had it down to 3 going into the 7th. So Botswana with the big win over the Czech Republic yesterday, 1-0. Denmark over Turkey, 23-0. And it was South Africa over Hong Kong, 10-0. And a strikeout for Lima there will end the inning. And Botswana gets out of the third. They just allow the one hit, no runs across, no errors on the field, and a runner left on base. It's still Venezuela 4-0 here as we head to the bottom of the third. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. Into the bottom of the third, it's Motusi Chalobani coming up to the plate, the left fielder for Botswana, his first plate appearance of this game. So far, Pineda with the shutout.
Well, Pineda's done a good job first time through the order here, mixing his pitches. He's got a variety. He's got a couple of rise balls at a couple of speeds. Good drop ball. Great changeup. So he's a different pitcher than Botswana has seen up to this point in this tournament.
There's a solid single. Flared into right center field. And Botswana has its second base runner of the game. The first one came way back in the first inning when Manaka walked.
Now the question will be, can Botswana execute and move the runner along?
And this is Cabo Matao, I believed. They announced the pitcher up at the plate, but I don't think that's correct.
No, it's Cabo Mato, and you saw there Mato on the move with the bunt, feet moving, bat extended, went off the bat, off his head or the bill of the cap on the inside and out for a foul ball. And there's a prime example. If you're going to give yourself up to sack, you really need to square and be stationary before you touch that ball.
And Flores with the snap throw down to first base. He has the arm to do it. And I mean, it's not just the cannon, Lance. The quickness that he gets rid of the ball is really key.
Well, his release is very quick, and that's the deception there. He will throw to any base at any time. He will look to the pitcher, and he will throw to first base. He has a number of different ways that he can disguise the throw coming down. So if you're a base runner, you better be wide awake.
Poor attempt at the plate there, kind of a do I want to swing, do I want to bunt?
Well, unfortunately, fundamentally, that's just not going to do it, and no knock on anyone. It's a tough thing to do, and as you could see, Mato not able to move the runner along.
So Jory Manaka coming up, the second baseman. Top of the order for Botswana here. And the appeal pays off for Flores.
Well, they're picking the right pitches to potentially lay down a bunt. The problem is those are not strikes. So getting the head of the bat out and able to cover a pitch that's way outside is sort of defeating the purpose of what you're trying to do.
Nice rise ball there. We'll get the strikeout for 2 out in the inning. Obusui Lakotu coming up now. He made a sacrifice in the first inning. A nice bunt down the third base side, but he won't be bunting, or will he? No, not with 2 away in this instance.
No, I think better he just swing away here. I think he's doing the square and pull back, not realizing that you're losing that fraction of a second you'll need to recognize the pitch.
Didn't recognize that one too well.
Well, pulled the head out, and that's why you'll never be able to reach any part of the outer half of the plate if you do that.
Anxious moments here for Botswana, trying to make something happen offensively. And he will bunt, but it goes to the pitcher for the easy out at first base. And Pineda will take care of business in the bottom of the third. So just the one hit for Botswana and the man left on base. We go to the top of the fourth inning with Venezuela with the 4-0 lead. You're listening to Sports Canada TV. Leading off the top of the fourth inning, the first baseman John Zambrano, who had a single back in the second inning. He was stranded at third. And Kehiso Mohali back out to work for Botswana.
Mohali's done a good job since coming in. He's got 3 strikeouts. He's only given up the 1 hit, that the single to Rafael Flores.
This was starred as one of the key games today as Botswana fighting for a playoff spot in their section. That's punched to center field, but will hang. And Simwanza hauls it in for the first out of the inning. Coming up on diamond number 1 will be United States versus Hong Kong. It'll be India, South Africa, Turkey, and Great Britain at 2 o'clock today, and someone's got to score a run in that game. Great Britain yet to score a run in the tournament. So is Turkey. New Zealand plays Denmark. The Japan and Czech Republic game at 4:30. To me, the biggest matchup, Argentina and Australia. That can have huge ramifications in that Pool A area. Australia sitting at 3-2 now after the loss to Canada. Argentina sitting at 4-1. So if Argentina loses, that creates a whole mess over on that side. United States still in it, but they should be able to get by Hong Kong. And they also play South Africa tomorrow. So I don't want to say easy finish for the U.S., but certainly not facing some of the top teams to end the round-robin portion.
Well, the Americans had their highest offensive output of the tournament yesterday in a surprise run-shortened game against the Dominican Republic in a game that had very, very big implications in that pool. And be interesting to see if they can carry over. If they do, it shouldn't be a problem with them wrapping up their last 2 games.
And there goes Linares down swinging, so the second out of the inning. And Erwins Corrales now up to bat. He's 1 for 2 on the day. So you hate to second guess yourself, Lance, but would it be different if Kahiso Mohali started the game?
Well, you don't know that, and really the issue here right now isn't the pitching. It's the fact that Botswana can't hit the ball. They're not getting anything off Pineda. Pineda's keeping them off balance. You know, they've only had a couple of base runners, period, and they haven't advanced past first base. So you look at that and you figure you got to score to win. So they're getting the pitching, and regardless of the home run that was given up early on, the bottom line is you got to score to win, and they're not right now. They haven't been able to generate any kind of offense.
So Corrales making the pitcher work, but now has a 3-2 count on him.
I think maybe in retrospect, Steve, maybe it would have been a good idea to send your ace out there, but you see that Venezuela, and we'll finish our pickup of the thought at the next inning.
Corrales strikes out swinging, so that's 3 up, 3 down for Venezuela to end the top of the fourth. Unable to get anything off of Mohali there. And we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. It's Venezuela leading 4-0. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning, leading it off for Botswana. Morulahagni Mualusi up to the plate. Strikeout victim back in the first inning.
Just get one defensive change. Carlos Ojeda has gone out to left field.
And a defensive gaffe by Venezuela. The ball was chopped to first base. Both the pitcher and the second baseman go to the bag, and the toss splits the two. Traditionally, that would be the second baseman's play on the short hop to first.
Well, in that case, the way the ball was hit, the first baseman remained on the bag. So the second baseman is to charge the ball and field it. In this case, he charged, the pitcher charged, and the first baseman charged. Nobody covered the base, and that was where the miscue happened. So if your first baseman just goes back to the bag, let the pitcher field it, then it wouldn't have been a problem. But the first baseman hesitated and went back.
Eric Simwanza now up to the plate. Little pop up to the first base side back in the first inning. Throw down to first, and Lee Evans right there to make the call as Mualusi played on a slip and slide to get in.
Lehman did a good job of covering there and digging that throw out of the dirt.
Hacking bunt there by Simwanza. It is so difficult to try to push the ball.
Well, it's just a feat to get the bat on the ball when your feet are in motion. And that's what the issue is here with Botswana. They're doing all these things with the bat, and they're not stationary.
And nothing with the bat there. Simwanza striking out looking. Brian DeCoker coming up now. He was a strikeout victim in the second inning. Nice change up there.
Good time for it. Pineda's done a good job between him and Flores at picking their spots and using that pitch in the best time possible. This team needs something from DeCoker offensively. They need a spark here. Right now they are in a bit of a lull.
Flores with the nice block. Staying alive, DeCoker. Botswana not testing the arm of Flores, sending anybody on the steal. And that will catch the strike zone, and DeCoker will sit down. Scheduled up is Shalamatsi. Struck out looking back in the second as well. And now Botswana comes in and looks like they may be changing their batters here.
Looks like they're certainly going to make a change.
Or are they going to pinch run? That's...
Well, it's 2-out catcher rules.
Aha.
So DeCoker is going to go and take over the running duties. And Kosimori is going to, but we could still have a pinch hitter. And it looks like that's going to be the case as Godson Matsumi will get his first look at Pineda.
Look of confusion on Matsumi's face after that first called strike.
Well, you're hovering over the plate, so the pitcher's going to come inside on you. You think it's tight, but based on where you're standing, it's over the inside corner of the plate. Pineda's got a look of amazement on his face. That pitch looked like it was in the exact same location as the previous one that was called a strike.
Got to wonder if Pineda will get the call for the changeup here with the 1-2 count.
Or you go with the rise.
Tipped, but squeezed by Flores. And after the error with the first batter that got him to base, 3 consecutive strikeouts to end the inning. So Pineda rolling here as we head to the top of the 5th and a 4-0 lead, Venezuela. More to come on Sports Canada TV. Into the top of the fifth we go. And Ojeda coming up to the plate. Looks like Venezuela has a pinch hitter here. Carlos Ojeda batting for Iran Paez, who was scheduled to come up. And now a discussion. Very boisterous fan making his thoughts.
Well, I think the umpire said to Mohali to pitch, and Ojeda wasn't even in the batter's box yet. So naturally, Mohali threw the ball. Ojeda comes running around the other side, and so really and truly, it should be a strike. But we'll see what transpires. Maybe they'll just erase it, which is the case here, and starting from scratch.
So Ojeda with his first at-bat of this game. Pinch hitting for Iran Paez. Paez had a strikeout in the first and a walk in the second.
Got to bring that down. Ojeda doesn't have a very big strike zone. And two rise balls have missed up and above the letters. I think this Botswana team has become a bit of a fan favorite here in this tournament this week.
Well, to do what they've done at this level, especially with the pitching of Mohali, has been impressive. Grounded to the pitcher, Mohali. He'll make the nice toss to first base. And did they call catcher interference there? The runner's on first.
That is certainly the case here, as I thought it was a ground out, but not the first time that Botswana has been called on the catcher interference. They were called twice on that, and the second time resulted in that injury to Daviso Raditubani, their starting catcher. Took a bat right to the wrist of his catching hand. This here looks like it'll be catcher interference, and it will allow Ojeda to make his way down to first base. Now there are a lot of things about this game that you need to actually play and get experience in to learn about.
Oh, and the Botswana coach just got tossed.
We have quite a few spectators who have traveled from various parts of the globe to be here at the 2017 Men's World Softball Championship.
So Lopez had his fill of what the coach had to say, and this is the first ejection that I've seen in this tournament.
Well, yeah, it's hard up here because we're not quite sure what is said. We're not privy to the conversations. We don't know if there may be something lost in the translation. As you talk about Lopez from Puerto Rico and the coach from Botswana. So not quite sure what is going to occur, but they're going to report to Daryl Helmer, and they're reporting the ejection. So coach is definitely gone. And the question here will be, how do you give an explanation if there's a bit of a language barrier there?
There's a free shuttle from several different hotels downtown to the Pepsi Softball Center.
So let's go through catcher interference here for a moment, Lance. This is where it all started. What determines catcher interference?
Anytime the bat comes into contact with the catcher on a pitch, then it's deemed as catcher interference, and the batter will be awarded first base. There are some instances where you can just move the runner along to an extra base or so on, but the usual rule is if it comes in contact, the bat with the catcher, while a pitch is thrown, it's automatic the batter will go down to first base. So that's what happened there. Usually you'll see it'll either clip the catcher's glove or something along those lines. But when you're not experienced and you tend to reach, and that's what Ratatubani did, he's reaching through, and you're seeing a translator here. You're reaching for that ball, but you're putting your hand in your glove in the strike zone. And unfortunately, the batter is allowed that area to swing, and if you impede on that, then it's interference, and that's just the bottom line.
From our vantage point, it was tough to see anything, but again, that's the home plate umpire's call.
Well, sometimes it happens so fast that a lot of times an umpire will go by sound as well, because he can tell based on the swing when there's been contact between a bat and a glove, which has a very distinct sound. So they may go on that as well. So we're not watching that from our vantage point, right? We can't see necessarily if the bat touched the glove. We're watching the pitch and with hopes that, there'll be contact made. So we'll have to so they've just changed the coaching staff, and they've now, I guess, brought their assistant in to now become the head coach. Head coach has been ejected, so he'll take over the coaching duties, and you'll see that he'll bring the team in. So adversity here is part of the experience. Botswana's going to learn from this, and you'll see that it's an instance that they haven't had to deal with. So you know what? That's part of this game, and you got to know that umpires, particularly at the international level, are not very tolerant. They do not tolerate any kind of showing up of any kind. Don't draw a line in the sand. Don't look back after a strike. Little things like that appear to be showing up the umpire, they will react immediately, and it'll usually be swift, harsh punishment, and that's the way it's done. When you play club and you play in some other open tournaments, you have a little more leeway. Umpires tend to be a little more tolerant, so they'll allow you maybe to get that off your chest or vent and say what you say as long as you don't swear. They may respond back, something like that. Here in these kind of tournaments, their rule is law, and you will abide by it accordingly. It's a sanctioned event. You're representing your country. Do it accordingly, but you're also a member of this tournament, and you need to represent yourself accordingly. So I think that's why they're very stringent. It looks like everyone's going to be ready to go. And
well, the umpire crew definitely gave Botswana a lot of time in that defensive huddle, and we'll get reset here to start the game. So to recap, Ojeda on first base after the catcher's interference call. He was the leadoff batter, and now it's going to be a pinch hitter for Terrenos. Ruben Guerrero up to the plate, number 9. And now I wonder if Botswana is going to ask for some. They're going to challenge the entry.
well, the coach just wanted to find out if they had actually reported the change or not, and they certainly did. It was reported actually before all that happened.
Ojeda scampered to second on that first pitch of the at-bat that sailed high to the backstop. Chop to the pitcher, throw to first. They get the out, and the runner stays put at second.
Good play, good throw by Mohali.
Almost got caught there. He looked at third base, but there was no force out there and had to make the quick spin and throw to first. And now Rafael Flores, who's 2 for 2 on the day, comes up to the plate. Home run and a single for the catcher. Going for the fences on that swing.
Well, you look at that swing, now you have to take a look at the Botswana defense and know Flores is not going to be laying it down. So Lokotu needs to guard the line a little more. Okay, slide your second baseman over to cover the hole a bit better. All right, and your shortstop and your third baseman are in a good spot, but that's part of making adjustments as you go based on what guys have done at the plate.
That's spanked up the middle just by the outstretched glove of the shortstop. They'll gun it to second. Ouch! As the throw hit the player in the shin, and he's smiling right now about it. The center fielder came up, and it was almost like a cricket bowl, Lance, the way he came up over the top, and everybody seems to be okay, giving each other handshakes. But in the end, the run scores from second, and Flores is at first.
I think that's the bottom line, really, is that was a big RBI single from Flores, his third hit of the ball game. So he has been a man on a mission. And again, making adjustments as you go along in this game is important. Knowing that Flores has been the biggest thorn in your side here should indicate that you need to take a little more care in the pitches that you throw him. And that walking him may not have been such a bad thing, knowing that you're having trouble scoring runs.
Shot to the third baseman, trying for the double play, and the throw's offline. So Carreno with the hot shot to short. They get the 6-4 play for the second out of the inning. Carreno's on first with a fielder's choice. There's no error on the play because you can't assume the double play.
That is correct.
So Luger Pinto is due up, but we'll see if Venezuela makes another change. But it looks like Pinto's going to come up to bat here. Carreno will scamper to second on the pass ball. So Pinto today with a walk in the second, fielder's choice in the third. Officially 0 for 1 at the plate. Venezuela just doing enough at the plate today to get the lead. Some other big games coming up later today. Of course, Argentina, Australia, the big one tonight. Canada, the Dominican Republic at 7. Shot towards the Venezuelan dugout. And Lima dances back behind the cage for a moment.
Got to stay awake on that on-deck circle.
Figures he doesn't need any more practice swings. Gets back there. That's punched to right center field. Center fielder calls for it, makes the catch as Simwanza tracks it down nicely. So Venezuela tacks on another run on the Flores single. Runner left on second base. It's a 5-0 lead for Venezuela at this time as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. Bottom of the 5th we go. Homolemo Shalamasi up to the plate. Struck grounded out to the pitcher back in the second inning. Pineda still out pitching. There is a defensive change for Venezuela as Francis Rojas comes in for John Zambrano at first base. Slap back to the pitcher. Nice play. And the play is made 1-3 for the first out. Pineda with some cat-like reflexes there. Chalobani now up to the plate. Hit a single back in the third. And third base umpire says no swing.
Would it be nice to see Chalobani just sort of bring the bat back and start with it back and see how well he fared. Just not realizing that the effort, you're always taught to bring your bat back first, never forward and then back. You lose that fraction of a second you need in order to generate the bat speed to hit the ball hard and keep it through the strike zone. And having to move it to two places before that pitch gets there takes way too long.
Didn't get any bat speed there at all as he's caught looking. And the second out of the inning via the strikeout. Scheduled up was Cabo Mato. But it looks like they may be making a switch here.
That's Carabo Matsolatabi. So Carabo hasn't had a whole lot of at-bats here. I think this may be his second or third at-bat of the tournament.
And Pineda gets him way out front on that changeup there. Botswana has only had 3 base runners so far this game. Pineda trying to make quick work of the Botswana lineup right here. And another changeup will do the job. So 3 up, 3 down for Botswana. And we'll go to the top of the 6th inning. Venezuela with the 5-0 lead. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. To the top of the 6th we go, and Jorge Lima is going to step up to the plate. 1 for 2 on the day, a 2-run blast back in the second inning, and a strikeout in the third. Lima flares one to the shortstop, hauled in for an out. As we hear the announcements from Diamond One, the United States and Hong Kong getting ready to play, and U.S. looking for a win to try to solidify a top 4 spot in Pool A. Here's Francis Rojas for Venezuela, who came in to play first base, taking over for Zambrano in the bottom of the 5th.
Good spot from Mohali. Right in on the hands. That's what you got to do to a big guy. Is you try to do your best to tie him up and don't let him get those hands extended. And Rojas has good power.
Hot shot down the third base line, and Rojas is going to look at second and scamper back. So a solid single. And it has to be nice for Venezuela that they can throw in these substitutes who can perform just as well.
Well, that's part of having depth in your lineup, and hitting-wise, they certainly have plenty of bats in their dugout.
Edwin Linares now up to the plate. 2 strikeouts in this game, both swinging. And Linares not wasting any part of his swing whatsoever.
Oh, he just missed that pitch. Probably advisable for Mohali not to come back with that same pitch again.
Rojas goes up to second base. For Venezuela, they hold on here for the win. They'll end their round robin against Great Britain tomorrow, which should be a winnable game for Venezuela. And the only game they would have lost would be that forfeit against Japan, as Linares ducks out of the way there. No throw from the catcher.
Well, it makes a big difference. You don't have your coach, you don't have your starting catcher, and you've got your ace on the hill, but he's not getting a whole lot of run support. So that's making things a little difficult for Mohali.
Herwims Corrales up to the plate. 1 for 3, a single and 2 strikeouts in today's contest.
Let's go, Bantu, let's go, Bantu.
For someone like Mohali, Lance, playing in Botswana, is there an opportunity that a North American club or somebody else might like what he's doing? As a singles flare to left field, will scamper the run home from third.
Well, most certainly. You've got a club circuit that is always in need of an ace. The same thing was done with Kento Ozaki of Japan. He has since come over and plays club ball throughout the summer over here in North America. So if a club team likes him and wants to bring him over for the experience and the development, that's a definite possibility. I think Mohali has turned a lot of heads here. I wouldn't be surprised if he got picked up. I think he's still a bit raw, and with a good catcher behind him and some experience in the coaching side of things, that who knows how good he can really be. So I think opportunities have really, doors will be opened up based on his performance here, and he is facing world-class competition. So looks good on him, and he looks to have a very bright future in this game.
Ojeda up to bat for Venezuela in the 5th. He got to first base via catcher interference and came around to score. And now he's punched out And that's the second out of the inning.
So I like the way Mohali's looked. He's come in. He hasn't looked rattled. You saw earlier with those pitches, seemed a little bit like his emotions were getting the better of him. This time he seemed to be settling in. Just settle in. Do what you do. Unfortunately, his team not able to push across any runs for him, but he's continuing to do a good job there, facing an outstanding hitting team in Venezuela.
Guerrero swinging now, 0 for 1 on the day. Grounded out to the pitcher back in the 5th inning. And he will go down swinging for the 3rd out. So a couple of hits, push across another run for Venezuela. And they leave 2 runners on base. Botswana now down 6-0 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. More to come on Sports Canada TV. So Witness Haroki, number 1 for Botswana, will slide in as the hitter, taking over for Juri Manaka. Pineda working a gem here against Botswana, coming in Venezuela with just the 1 loss and a game they needed to win to keep pace with the other top teams in Pool B.
Pineda's quietly put together a 1-hitter here.
Changeup falls a little too low there to keep the batter at the plate. And a strikeout for Pineda.
Eleven strikeouts.
Actually, check out the umpire. It's 3-2.
Was the count?
It was,
okay.
Yes, it was 3-1. The count goes to 3-2. So Witness able to stay up there. And he punches one to left field, and that's in for a solid single. And Ojeda able to stay in front of it, kind of made a last decision to dive for the ball, and that was a dangerous play. Had it hopped over his glove, it was going to the wall, but he kept it in front.
Well, I think he had to dive ahead because he got a late jump, had that ball bounce by him, like you said. So I think he dove to sort of smother it a bit more than he could if he was upright. So a lucky play there by Ojeda. That would have went for extra bases.
Lakotu with the bunt. They go to second base. No, they don't get him. And the speed by Haroki allows the play to continue with runners on first and second now. And Lokotu, even though he popped it up in the air, it was able to get down in a hurry.
Well, that's just a defensive error there. You have 6 outs to get in order to wrap up this ball game. You're playing for outs here. You're not worried about whether or not they get a run. You've got a 6-run cushion.
That's flared in the air and got by the first baseman. Onaswi Gudu was the pinch hitter there, but he pops up to the first baseman.
Number 15,
Eric Simwanza 0 for 2 on the day. Punches one into the gap. That's going to find the field, and 2 runs possibly are going to score. No, they're going to hold him up on third. Throw misses the mark, and there's going to be a race to home, and he's going to get him there. And it was an out. The catcher Flores, or is that Pinto in behind the plate now, and made the nice toss from the backstop. So 1 run will score. Lokotu will be erased on the play for the second out of the inning. And Simwanza ends up at third base. And Pineda's being checked at as the slide came into home. And the trainer will attend to the pitcher. That was a hard slide by Lokotu, but he came trucking around third, Lance, and the third base coach put up the stop sign. Had he kept going, he would have been safe, but he obeyed the coach.
Well, you know what? I think the reason that the coach held him up was because Chirinos took the cutoff and has a cannon of an arm. The throw came in low, but it would have been in plenty of time to get Lokotu had he came home specifically there. It wasn't until the ball got away that he thought he could make it. Probably should have just pulled back and held up, period. But it was Chirinos' relay from Ojeda that really made the coach hold him up. I think that was a smart play. Unfortunately, didn't work out. They were aggressive. When he came in, Spike got up. Pineda wasn't in a perfect position to block the plate. Took it on the shin. Looks like he's okay. They should be playing for outs here, not worried about any kind of runs here that Botswana can put up.
So DeCoker now up to the plate. 2 strikeouts on the day, but all of a sudden the Botswana bats coming alive here in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, 2 hits this inning, more than they've managed to muster in the previous 5. So clearly a bit more comfort up there for the Botswana bats. It's a big run at third to, at the very least, put a little pressure on Venezuela.
Right back at the pitcher. Pineda blocks it, knocks it down, and tosses it to his first baseman for the 3rd out of the inning. But Botswana breaks the shutout. They score a run, but are down 6-1 headed to the top of the 7th. More coming up on Sports Canada TV.
seventh inning, Venezuela, number 22.
Top of the seventh inning, and it's going to be Rafael Flores up to the plate. He's had quite the day offensively with a home run and 2 singles. And they're still going at him.
Well, this is when you want to go at Flores. There's no one aboard. So at the very least, a home run solo shot will be all you give up. But you still have to be careful the way you pitch to a guy like Flores. Again, he can change the score with one swing of the bat.
Flared to shortstop, and a tough hop for DeCoker. And Flores will make it down to first.
That's going to be an interesting scoring. I think I'm going to have to give Flores the benefit of the doubt with an infield hit based on the spin and the hop. Really and truly, DeCoker should have charged that ball a little better, been a little more aggressive, and attacked that, knowing that Flores doesn't have great speed, so you have a little bit more time, provided you can get that ball in your gloves quicker.
Carreño now up to the plate. Grounded out to the second baseman in the first, was a strikeout in the third. Fielder's choice in the fifth. Pulled foul down the third base side as Lance went to the official scorekeeper to get some word on what the play is marked down as for Flores.
Yeah, they've ruled that an E6. So, unfortunately, Flores will not keep his hitting streak.
And Flores will get by, and the throw down to first base to complete the strikeout. I think for any shortstop, that's a tough play. Lance, just the way the ball came off the bat with the spin, and he had to go to the third base side. So, but at this level, there's expectations.
Well, you can nullify that hop if you're aggressive and take that step and charge the ball. You're going to get that on the lower pinnacle when it comes up, as opposed to allowing it to get up and change direction on you. So there is something that he could have done there to prevent that and eliminate that bounce. And unfortunately, that's the way it was scored, and that's the way she goes. That's the game, being able to read the spin and read the ball off the bat. As an infielder, it's an art, it's a skill.
Lucier Pinto now up to the plate for Venezuela, and he's 0 for 2 on the day. And a nice job there by Kusimori at the backstop position to block it and keep the runner at second. Another good block by the catcher, and Mohali making his partner work.
Well, Pinto's a good hitter, and you've got to learn how to pitch to guys. You can't just throw 3 and blow by everyone. You got to learn to pitch. And Mohali's getting some valuable experience here against this Venezuelan bats.
Pinto helping the umpire there with the call. He'll take the walk. And Jorge Lima stepping up to the plate here.
Number 7, Jorge Lima.
1 for 3 on the day. 2-run shot back in the second inning. And now Mohali trying to work the batter.
Well, he's thrown a lot of pitches.
And that's sliced by the shortstop. Flores is going to trek around third. The throw's going to come in, but it's not going to be in time. Lima with the single. Pinto holds up at second base, even though the throw came into the home plate. And now it's Rojas up to bat.
There's too many experienced hitters in this Venezuelan lineup.
Sky high to left field. The shortstop will make the catch, throws it back to second, and sliding back in is Pinto.
Good grab there by Dico Kerr. Had to go a long way. Keep his eye on that ball. It was almost going to land in no man's land. So it did a good job ranging to his right, tracking it down and hauling it in.
2-out catcher rule comes into play, so Rojas will come in to run for Pinto, who will get the gear on. Linares coming up to the plate. Yeah, those plays, Lance, when the infielder runs back to get the ball and the fielder's coming in, communication key. We've seen so many collisions in games where nobody says anything and they end up banging heads.
Well, sometimes if you're looking at the ball.
To the second base side, and a toss to first for the third out of the inning. And Venezuela will go to the bottom of the seventh with a 7-1 lead after tacking on another run in their first half of the inning. And we'll talk more about bumps and bruises coming up next. More coming up on Sports Canada TV. So Pineda out to work the bottom of the seventh inning. It's his game to start and his game to finish. A 6-run lead. Venezuela looking to go to a decent record to keep on top of that Pool B section. Only the one loss so far in the tournament. See who Botswana brings up here. We're making a bunch of substitutions, and it looks like number 5 for Botswana will bat. It's Godson Utsumi.
Three-hitter here from Pineda, and 2 of those hits were surrendered last inning. And I think this has just been a case here of a team of more experienced ball players going up a talented but inexperienced Botswana team. You've seen what they've done at the plate. You've seen the pitching sequences from Pineda. There's a prime example. So you can just tell that this Venezuelan squad has been around, has been here before. They didn't panic. They didn't worry when Mohali came in. They just continued to do what they do, and that's hit the ball, put up runs, play good defense, and of course got some great pitching.
So Moses Kosimori coming in to bat, and he lays down a bunt, speed down first, a gun down to first base, and they get him. And a great play by the catcher to jump out and throw it down, and you thought Flores had an arm. Pinto showing he can throw it too.
Well, Pinto's advantage was the fact that he took the time to pivot, and that's why he was able to get so much on the throw, is because he had his feet set when he let go of the ball. So good fundamentals there from Pinto behind the dish.
This is number 11.
Odorili Leheu.
So it looks like Botswana wants to at least try to get everybody one plate appearance here in this game. Down by 6 runs, and that one's golfed into left field for a hit. And the inning will stretch along with one more batter coming to the plate.
Surprising, you've seen Botswana struggle with pitches in the strike zone. Then you see Leheu take a pitch that's down near the dirt and swat that out there for a base hit.
So Pineda needing just one more strike and one more out here in this bottom of the 7th to finish off the complete game.
See if Mato can keep the inning alive.
Swinging strike, and the catcher will complete the play. And that will be the ball game as Venezuela wins it 7-1. Couple of home runs. And Rafael Flores, Lance, is getting our nod for the ballpark broadcasting player of the game.
Well, I would have to agree with you. You're talking about a guy that went 3 for 4, had 2 RBIs, got the job done. 3 RBIs, got the job done at the plate. Did a good job behind the dish as well before giving way to Pinto. An outstanding game. Experience prevailed here, and a learning experience for Botswana. Venezuela, the bats keep right on rolling. 5-1 now. They're going to be awfully tough to beat.
Just want quickly thoughts, Venezuela pushing on from here. Kind of an easier end to their schedule. How do they keep focused?
Well, they're going to keep focused because the bats are going to